All right, consider this circuit over here where we have an EMF coming up to some switch that can be thrown to A or B, and then goes through a resistor and then an inductor. So when the switch is in A, there's an EMF going through pumping current through the resistor, through an inductor, and back to the EMF, back to the battery source, whatever. When we throw it to B, it's just the resistor and the inductor together. When the switch is thrown to A, current begins flowing through the circuit. But as the current through the inductor rises, it generates a back EMF. In other words, there is no current, all of a sudden there is current. The inductor doesn't like that, so we get back EMF. That means the resistor kind of sees two different EMFs. We have the battery pushing charge this way, and the EMF trying to push charge that way. The actual EMF that goes across it is, of course, their sum. So we get something like the E on the battery minus L di dt. Notice the EMF is always less, and so the current drawn is less than if there were no inductor. But we can still apply Kirchhoff's loop rule, which means that starting from here, we gain the EMF on the battery. We lose the potential going down the resistor. We're going in the correct direction, so we know we lose potential going this way. And then we lose potential this way because the EMF on the circuit is pushing this way, but we're reversing it, quote unquote, the wrong way. So this is going up a potential gradient. All right. It's easy to show that this differential equation would be solved by this ansatz, that the current is the EMF over the resistor, as we'd expect, but then times this exponential factor, 1 minus e to the minus RT over L, which we might say the maximum current times 1 minus e to the, oops, there's a minus sign missing, which is bad, minus t over tau. Now the time constant, it's an exponential time decay or growth again, but the time constant is L over R rather than RC. The resistor's potential difference turns on and rises all the way up to the voltage of the battery, the EMF of the battery. The inductor's potential difference starts at the voltage of the battery and then falls off and dribbles off towards zero. Let's say the current is left running for a long time, which means essentially T is infinite. Eventually it reaches the value I max and stops changing. So the inductor drops out and we have just the resistor seeing the EMF, so we get current EMF over R. Then we throw the switch to position B. Since the battery can come out of the loop, the current will start to decrease, but the inductor resists that. So when we do the loop rule now, we would have that we're going the correct way with the inductor, so we'd have minus IR plus L di dt. Right, because now the inductance is going to give us EMF the other way. Current is reducing, so the quote-unquote back EMF is really going to be forward EMF. It's going to be trying to maintain the current flow. So we get a different sign of voltage. And this is then solved by saying that the current is the current max times the exponential e to the minus t over tau, just like we had before with capacitors, except now it's with inductors, and so tau is a different thing. It's L over R rather than RC. All right, all batteries, resistors, and inductors are the same in this picture. Draw a blue circle around the circuit with the greatest final current after a long time after the switch is thrown, and a red circle around the one that has the least. All right, a long time after the current will have come out to its maximum value, the di dt will be 0, and the inductor will essentially drop out. So we're really looking for the circuit that has, for the greatest current, we want to have the least resistance. So we look over here and we say, in part A, the effective resistance is 2R. In B, the effective resistance is 1/2 R, because the inductor isn't even there, so it's just a parallel branch with two equal resistors. Over here, the inductor isn't there, so this is also 2R, so we see that that would be the most. And then we see that the other two would have to share being the least. Same setup, now figure out which one has the greatest initial current just after the switch is thrown. All right, so now not a long time later, but right after it's thrown. This is sort of a trick question because for all of them, no current can flow yet because the inductor stops it, so they're all equal. They're all red, but they're also all blue because they are all 0. Some takeaways from this. Long term, an inductor looks like a wire, just like a capacitor long term looks like a broken circuit. And it's important to understand that inductors in series and parallels would add like resistors do. In other words, we'd imagine saying we could say there's some equivalent resistor, equivalent inductor, which is L1 plus L2, assuming we had like this and then like this series and so on. Or we'd have 1 over L equivalent is 1 over L1 plus 1 over L2. if we have them in parallel. And having said that, kind of a little bit of nonsense, because we have to worry about the fact that the magnetic fields that are being generated might come from this one and thread the other one. In other words, they're linked in something called mutual inductance, and so it's actually more complicated than that unless you're very sure that your inductors are isolated.